The script, I put it here. This presentation, I'm going to put it on Google Drive. So if you want to read through it and see what it looks like, just double click on that and you can go with it. It's basically like a single location film, as you can see. Almost everything takes place in this interrogation room, apart from the last scene with the hug and the bit at Ranhill's. So there was a bit at Ranhill's place, and I had to sign this to film in her home. Very gracious of her to let me do that. And then the other bit where they hug at the end was at the end of our film premiere, because we figured Sam's going off to university. When will these two be in the same room at the same time? I've got my camera with me. Boom. Why are they outside that door? Don't think about it. It's alright. But I really like this type of film. Well, can anyone tell me what the advantages of like a single location drama are?
Cheap.
Exactly. Yeah. It's also like a really fun writing constraint as well, because the writing has to be interesting enough to overcome the fact that everything's taking place in the same place. It's one of my favorite types, because then it doesn't cost anything, so nobody can tell me what to do. I love it when people don't tell me what to do. So that's my favorite kind of thing to do. And so, but of course, Sam and I started writing this in like January, February or something, and then finally got it finished July. I want to say July. Okay, but that after I went into Ranhill's place. So then I want to talk about a few of the techniques that we used. I'd be really interested to know if anyone noticed. But this is what I did with the lenses. This is like at the very beginning. You can see that there's like a lot more space around them. That's because I used a 22mm lens, which is a wider angle than the 50mm lens, which, as you can tell, brings us in much closer. And it also compresses the space, so I think that these like bricks behind me should look like they're way closer than they do in this image. So why do you think I did that? Before I explain why. So this is the first interrogation scene, and then these are the second and third interrogation scenes.
For intensity purposes?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. The space is closing in on them. It's more claustrophobic, and we're getting closer to them as well. It's much more intense. As you say, stole this from 12 Angry Men. This is from Sidney Lumet's book, where he explains what they did in 12 Angry Men. They had what they call a lens plot. So essentially, they started with lenses like this, and they swapped them out more and more to get them more and more compressed, because 12 Angry Men, if you've not seen it, is like 12 guys in like deliberating in a jury, and they're just stuck in one very hot room, and they can't get out until they made a decision, and emotions get more and more intense, and so that's reflected in the fact that the lenses go like this. So I thought, cool, why should I reinvent the wheel? I've got lenses, I'll do that. If anyone wants to borrow this book, you can happily take it, summarize it, and then tell us about it in the club. But you have to do that if you want to take it. Filming methods. Tripod and gimbal, handheld. Tripod I didn't bring with me. The gimbal is this thing. Why might I have used both? Not one or the other.
Because the gimbal was a point of view.
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas the tripod was a kind of staged conversation.
Yes. Of course, with the tripod, I think on this day there was only Sam and I. I didn't really have the option of doing anything else. If I got a tripod, I don't need to compress record and walk over there. But if Sam and I are very tired, and this is the very last scene that we have to do, he'll stand right in front of me, and it'll look really weird, and then I'll go, I can't be bothered filming that again, I'm just going to use it.
How many days did you use, or could you have used? Could you have shot the whole thing in a day if you'd planned to?
Yeah.
And how many days did you actually do it over?
Good question. Well, this bit at Ranhill's place would have to be a separate day because she's in Sandnes.
Yeah.
This is out at Ferdinand's place, which is in Sola. But as you can see, we did 3 different interrogation scenes, and actually brought my 3 different changes of shirt to do them all in one day.
Yeah.
I think those scenes when we walked in together, I just left the camera rolling and then I changed shirts and walked in again. We did that 3 times, and each time Sam was like, right, what's happening in my head now? I was like, right, I'm kind of betraying you and you suspect me. And then he gets that face on and then he goes to sit down. All right, it's the 3rd interrogation scene. What am I thinking now? You're confused, but maybe you're going to vex me. All right, okay, then he's got that face on and he walks back into the camera. I think we could have done it in one day.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly the fact that like I haven't made that many films, so
Yeah.
it was a bit trial and error. It's also like, why do it in 8 hours if you can do it in 3 afternoons of 2, which I think is what we did.
Yeah.
So yeah, good question. So this is the gimbal. You've not seen one.
Which one is that?
Sorry.
Which one is that?
This is the Mosaic Aircross 2, I think it's called. It's for mirrorless cameras, like mine is the Canon M50. You can see I just walked around like this following my build and messing up the sheets and doing breaks and stuff like that. Although this was actually handheld, this was Reinhold's dog acting. She's holding the camera, going like that, trying to attack me with the camera. And I was like, oh no. It was great. Just turn this off again. What did I want to say about that? So you see there's like a weird ring around it. So I figured when I used this lens, this is an 18 to 200mm lens, which means that you can zoom really far. But I had it here. It's not actually built for my camera, it's built for like a full frame camera. So when I adapted it onto my camera, it got this like weird black ring around it. I thought, that looks like a dog's perspective. I'll use that. I don't think they teach you about dogs' perspectives in film school, but I wouldn't know, I've never gone.
When I made the art movie,
Yeah.
we did this. I forgot the name of this camera, this small camera.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what is the name of it?
GoPro?
GoPro.
Yeah.
And then there's also some installations that you can do that. So just that you don't know if you have a GoPro, but it has also this kind of
Wide angle, right?
Yes.
Fisheye effect, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah.
So just visit it.
That's a really great tip, actually. I think I should pick up a GoPro because I've seen really professional films done with
Yeah,
that.
and also if you want to have like if somewhere is a camera recording,
Mhm.
that's great with the GoPro.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, good tip. So then the color scheme. I wanted to experiment with color grading. I've never actually graded something before. I've only ever really color corrected. So on my camera, I've downloaded this, what's called a profile called CineStyle. I saw it recommended. Basically, it's like a flat profile. Somebody here can explain a flat profile better than I can.
A flat color profile.
Yes.
It basically it's designed to just give you the mid-tones, so it will take away kind of highlights and lowlights, and then just give you a very mid-tone of color. Yeah, so you can only really use it if you've shot the scene in the right kind of light. So if you have like very bright light, you'll get kind of harsh edges where the brightness is. And if you've got a very, very low light, the whole thing will just look very dark because there isn't any mid-tones to bring out. So most cine profiles you have to kind of shoot for post-production. You have to have the effect you're going to use in mind when you shoot it.
In general, just maximise dynamic range of the sensor of the camera.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I think with the Canon M50, I think it has an 8 or 10-bit color depth, which is apparently a little bit too low to do something like these kind of profiles. But this was recommended anyway, and I thought I want to experiment with it. I want to see if it works. And it was all right. But it looks like this when it came straight out of the camera, which, as you can tell from the film, is very different. And if I go here, then I can really explain how I turned it from this into this, which is what you saw in the actual thing. So this is the flatness of the color profile. So these parades, as I understand them, are like averages of RGB intensity across from the left to the right of the picture. You get a dot for like the average blue, I think it is, the average green, and the average red.
Is this in DaVinci?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, yeah, you get that. And basically when it comes out at the end, there's a much greater spread of color, as you can see here. Tripping over this thing. So this is like if you enhance the contrast, and if you perform every other kind of modification on it, you get a greater range of colors, and you get a different range of colors that you want in post-production, as you were saying, which you do. I do in DaVinci Resolve, which is a free editing software, and that's why I use it. So this is like the full process. So here I've got, these are the tabs in DaVinci Resolve. This is like the media pool where you've got all your video clips. This is the cut tab where you can do some sort of like, you can cut more precisely the parts of each clip that you want. The edit tab where you really stick everything together. The fusion tab where you do special effects. The color tab where you do stuff like this to every single clip that you've got. Then the Fairlight tab is for audio adjustments. And this tab is the render tab for saying I want it 1080p, 24 frames per second, this range of gigabytes, you know, and then it will construct everything for you. I could do like 10 weeks on each of these tabs, and we wouldn't even be slightly close to knowing anything about filmmaking. That's why I say just get going, because you honestly know as much now as you need to know. As you'll ever know, right? You'll always be learning. That's my point. So now is the best time to start, really. I'm not going to go, oh, okay, until I've mastered this tab, I'm not going to pick up my camera. Yeah, I don't think you get anything done, but good luck to you.
With some YouTube tutorials.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I did.
I was also on Photoshop.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I had it on my computer, and I wanted to tell, I can try it, right?
Mm.
And I was like, no, I don't get it. I need YouTube to explain it.
Yeah.
So hard.
Well, no, as I actually said, I think some of you saw the intro video I did for this club. Like, there's so many good resources on YouTube that I don't want to compete with them. I just want to make stuff. I think you should just use YouTube if you get any questions at all. It's not reductive or dismissive. I'm happy to help, but I can't help better than YouTube does.
No.
There's like real professionals giving you free advice from there. Just don't listen to me. Listen to them. You can make stuff with me that.
But you could put out a link to one of the best of them, because there are many crappy ones.
That's right.
Oh yeah, sure.
Good ones.
Yeah.
I can recommend some channels.
I think actually, if you're into DaVinci Resolve, the best site there is Blackmagic. So their own tutorials are great.
Oh yeah, that's how I learned.
So it's better than a lot of the stuff on YouTube is
Yeah,
sketchy.
pretty much. I would say of any of the things that you're going to try, editing will probably take the most time. Filming, you can get pretty good. Acting, not bad. Sound recording, you know, that kind of thing. Editing takes a long time. But as you saw, like I was editing iPhone movies for like half a year, and I was still building skills and all that time before I got this camera. By which time, I was kind of thankful because it was easier to do this because there was better color coming out of the camera. And then that's great because you're like, now I know why I bought this. It's really nice. So these are all the steps I did. Now, some people would do like all these 5 steps just in one node. These are nodes, and they would just call it color correction. I do it like this because I keep forgetting what they are. So I just I copy paste an empty set of nodes with labels on them, and I go, right, okay, so I need to do the white balance first. Then I adjust the color if there's any color adjustments. Then I adjust the contrast to make this, a wider range. Then I adjust the sharpness, and this here just gets you the black and white channel of information, because that's the one you want to adjust the sharpness on, just on that one. Then the skin by itself. Why do you edit the skin color by itself? Does anyone know?
Because it probably will change when you change the others.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. If you start to go, this background's not bright enough, start to make that bright, and then suddenly Sam's gone green. We need to change him back to where he was and keep the environment the way you like it. So I actually should have done this tab at the very end, I think, when I'd done everything else. But this, like I said, this is the first time I color graded, so next time. So what
Did you do any test shots before, or did you just go straight into filming? I mean, to know if you're going to use this technique, to know how do I know I'm not going too dark or too bright? So
Yeah.
it's gonna have the end effect that I'm looking for.
Good question. No, I didn't. I think when I got here, I thought, once I corrected everything, I thought, all I ever do is correct it. I want to color grade it. So then I went, color grade DaVinci Resolve in YouTube. And then just followed those tutorials and added those. But, good question. See, if this starts to go, this is all the highlights, this is all the shadows. This starts to go way up there, then it's clipping and I'm losing information. And suddenly you'll see big spots of white, and that's bad. And the same if it goes all the way down here, it's called crushing. And then the image starts to go black and there's no detail in the black areas. Then that's bad as well. So really you keep using these as guides. And you're absolutely right, with each of these steps, you're going to adjust things, which is going to adjust things that you don't like as well as things that you do like. So you need to keep checking on this per age and check that you're still in the right range and check that you're not doing anything bad to the image. So when it comes to the skin tone specifically, what you do is you take a dropper and stick it like there, and then just like scroll around a bit, rub it over there to make sure you grab like all the areas of skin color, like within that range. And then this is called a vector scope, and this is a skin line. So basically what it's telling you is that, okay, you've selected all these colors, and on the range of colors on this wheel of hues here, they're landing about there. And then you're going, okay, so I'm going to pull, then I want you to pull those colors back onto that line, because this is the skin line where all the skin colors are. So that's what you do to correct that. Then, this is just how I learned that you can do it. This was the color grade. So this is color correction, everything's corrected. Now you do the grade. I've got the corrected image itself, and then the black and white image, which I merged together, which gives it this kind of almost washed out effect. Then from there, I think I added some greenish tones to the shadows and some like yellowy tones to the midtones, because traditionally like teal and orange is a good contrast between skin tones and background that's used. I didn't want to go like full on like that, like one of those Bourne movies, or a lot of like shooting video games are blue and orange. It looks kind of cliche at this point, so I just did a little bit of it. Also, I can't push the color range too much with this camera I've got. It's like a mid-range camera. So if I push a bit too much, then I'm going to start to go outside this range. Whew, it's all technical stuff. And here's the bits where I messed up. Thought you'd want to know that, because I always will. Like I said, it was a bit awkward when Sam was standing right there. And also, I didn't really know. I think I ran up the stairs without my lavalier mic, which is the mic you pin here. I just had this one, so stuck it in my pocket, like here, talking, which is like way out of the range you want. You want it to be within like, you want it to be like this range. It's much better. If I was holding it there and I'd done like a closer shot to both of us, that would have been great. The audio would have been fine. For the scenes in the room itself, I had this mounted to my camera. So if you're close enough to the camera, I just record this and it goes straight into the camera, and then that's great. The audio out of this is great. This is a Rode VideoMic Pro. So my performance, this was like a bit, you listen to me, you came into the first, so this is a bit I said during like the last scene. But I didn't say it exactly. I think I forgot some of the sentences and then remembered them while I was saying them. So then I just said them when I remembered them instead. So I was like, you listen to me, you came into the force during a time they were so desperate for coppers, they let just about anyone in the door. They started to overlook previous junctures. And then, did that ruin anyone's experience? Did you know that until I pointed it out? Not really. You know, a lot of actors I know are pretty perfectionist about the performance. Just get close enough, you know? I always say that like, there's a lot of talk when it comes to filmmaking or storytelling or everything about like, oh, you've lost the audience. You lose the audience or something. As if like, if you do 50% of a good job, it's like 0, it's fail. Instead of like, you know, you did half of a good job. You know, if you do like, with a bit more work, you might go up to 70%, 80%, 90%. If you get to 90%, that's solid, send that out. It's not like, unless you give it your all, unless you nail every single point, people are going to walk out the cinema. That's not true. Maybe like 10% of them will, if you do a 90% of a good job, you know. It's not like I feel like a lot of people I work with have a very all or nothing approach to this. I don't find it terribly helpful. I think just go out, do your best. And there will never be a time I make something where I won't have a slide of stuff that I didn't do properly. When I was doing this thing, carrying this around and filming all the things in the room, I was using this lens. This is the kind of lens you would want for a vlogging lens, 22mm. It's wide angle, which means that I can film myself here, can hold it, and like my face and the environment is going to be revealed behind me. I think maybe I can just even show you. So like that, I think you can see.
Yeah.
This one, what's up, guys? It's Wednesday. I'm gonna get Starbucks or some crap. This kind of lens you would want because you can do it when you're really close, but
that is 99% of people.
into it. If only I was like a blonde teenager or something, somebody might watch, but I can't. I'm too. Anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, so this camera, Canon M50, has what's called an APS-C size sensor. It's not a full frame sensor, which means that it has a crop factor, which means that when you put on a 22mm lens like this, you have to multiply it by 1.6 to get the lens equivalent that you're actually getting. So I think it's like 35 millimeters? 35 millimeters, which is a bit broader, which means that you're going to lose all of this background detail. It's going to be actually a bit closer. Now, I was filming in 4K as well. When you film in 4K, you have to add another 1.6 crop factor. So the lens equivalent of using this was 56 millimeters, which is pretty, you're starting to go into longer range there. So when I was filming, it's like it's way too close. It should have been further back. What I should have done is not filmed in 4K. But I filmed in, because what you saw was in 1080p, right? 1080p is this many pixels. And I filmed in this many pixels. I did that to give myself the flexibility to cut out this many pixels if I didn't like where I'd aimed the shot. And I should have just planned it better and done 1080p. But I don't think I actually did a test run even, did I? We just ran around. So I didn't even do a test run, I just ran around and was like, what? Man, this is pretty close actually. So maybe should have tested that first. Then these bricks as well. So this room, right? You can see there's two walls here and then a wall there. And then this wall here is just like grass and farm and fields and everything. So the camera sat here. The camera didn't move. But as you can see, like I'm standing here, Sam's sitting there, and I'm trying to convince you that when you're looking at me there, the camera is here looking at me, right? And when Sam's sitting there, the camera should be here looking at you there, right? But in actual fact, the camera didn't move and we filmed everything against that wall. Which I would have gotten away with if it weren't for those damn bricks that you can clearly see her right there. Did anyone spot that? God damn it. God damn it. I was hoping nobody noticed.
I also spotted something in the audio at the end. When you guys, right before you switch, you still use the mic on Sam.
Yes.
Also, I think you should have had like more of a echo thing because you're both in the same shot. So you're hearing it from a little bit more distance.
Yeah.
And now the audio was from Sam's mic still as he was walking and you guys were switching.
It was on the table. It was this mic here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it went from.
So maybe to give it more of a open space thing,
Yeah.
maybe move the mic a little bit further away.
To give it like an open space sound
Yes.
rather than being very close.
Because it felt it.
There is like, there's a glitch there as well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I should have done that definitely as well. Okay, cheers. That was my presentation. Anyone have any questions?